hope you enjoyed your lunch. I haven't got mine yet. Reviews. Very often, we rely on them to make many decisions in our lives on daily basis. It has been a couple of weeks. I'm thinking about getting a new phone. It's iPhone, not the latest one, super expensive. So I've been looking at the reviews on this iPhone 13, and I see one user is writing, it's giving only 1 star, saying, well, I give 1 star because the iPhone never been delivered. So the package was delivered without the iPhone inside it. So probably the delivery man stole that phone. And that's why he gave 1 star. Another example, and I think most of us do that, when you want to go to the cinema or pick a movie to watch at home. So I've been looking at this movie reviews, and I see that customer saying, well, here's the deal. I'm going to give only 1 star because during the whole thing, my eyes were hurting, and I was at the right distance from the TV. Few days later, turns out that he had some kind of inflammation in his eyes, and he was suffering from pink eyes. Great. Other example, I am a person who is very picky in choosing restaurants. So I look at reviews. Julian knows that about me. So I look at this restaurant, and I think probably most of us do that when you want to go to grab a pizza, for example. So this user, he said, I'm giving low reviews because I ordered a pizza, but I was served half a pizza. Then the owner of the restaurant replies, sir, you order a calzone, which is a folded pizza. As you can see, all these reviews, they are irrelevant and useless. They have nothing to do with the product or the service we are asking for. So giving reviews is super difficult. And similarly in computer science, when you want to give your feedback, your opinion about a provided code. Let's see this piece of code. It's written in Python, regardless of the programming language. The reviewer is saying, seriously, what's this? And why are you using the join function? This code is not going to work. So this kind of review, as you can see, the reviewer used capital letters, and he's saying, what's this? So as author of this code, I don't know what he's referring to. So this is disrespectful, the way of providing the feedback, not constructive. It's not providing any actionable feedback, what I'm supposed to do, and it's harsh. One more example. Here, the reviewer is saying, hey, instead of using the while loop, why you don't use the for loop? Regardless, there are differences between while loop and for loop based on and their impact based on the programming languages, programming language. However, the reviewer is saying it's nicer if you can use the for loop, and by the way, you can put it in one line. Okay, great. So the reviewer here is just wasting the author time, and he is really reflecting his taste, his personal taste of how to do things. Hi, everyone. My name is Maha. I am a senior engineering manager at Elastic. I'm leading the release engineering team at Elastic, where we are providing tools, framework, guidance to the other product teams at Elastic, helping them to produce their releasable artifacts. I also have a PhD in optimizing performance of multi-tier distributed systems deployed in the cloud. And today, I'm going to talk to you about how to review someone else's code while not being a jerk. How can we provide useful, respectful code review? I'm going to start by question. Has any of you ever been bullied by a jerk reviewer? Can you raise your hand? Wow, okay, that's a decent amount of people. Let me ask the other way of the question. Has any of you ever been a jerk reviewer or giving harsh review? Oh my God, okay, you are in the right place. Hopefully, you're going to change your mind by the end of this talk. Well, I guess receiving a review, harsh review, as the one we just saw before, it's brutal, right? And I think many people, I'm one of you, might say, what now? What a jerk. What do you want? Why you don't do it yourself? You know what? I'm going to close this PR. This is my last time coding. I'm quitting computer science. This is brutal. So to avoid all this drama, let's see how can we write useful and respectful code review. To do so, we need to answer 3 questions: what, why, and how. So the first question is why. Why we are doing code review? I believe most developers think as soon as my code is working, so why I don't merge it to main and we move on? Why do I need to ask for feedback? Well, actually, it's not only about making sure that the code is working fine. It's more than this. It's about sharing knowledge. It's about making sure that the provided code meet the standards. It's aligned with the overall structure and style of our project, increasing the quality of overall the project, sharing knowledge, contribute to design and solving problems. And the most important part is learning from each other. There is a study conducted by Google showing the impact on doing code review, and more precisely modern code review at Google. And this study has been conducted 2018. It shows that code reviews has big impact on the development workflow at Google. Developers at all roles, regardless their roles, they see benefits, and they see this code review, modern code review, it helps them to share the knowledge about their code bases. It helps them to build and evolve the norms that ensure that our code is consistent and readable. The second question is what? Here's a story. One of my previous job, the beginning when I joined, my manager asked me, hey, Maha, why don't you review this code? So I asked him, what exactly I'm supposed to look at? He told me, make sure it's fine, whatever that means. So basically what I did, based on my experience and my personal taste, I start looking, okay, does the code pass all the existing tests? It does have unit tests, and all those unit tests are good, and they are not breaking what we have already. There is documentation provided. There is no redundancy in the code, and so on. So basically what I did, use my personal experience on giving my opinion. And I'm sure if we give you that exact same of code, each of you will give their own opinion, right? So to avoid all this confusion, I came up with what we call code review checklist. So there is this checklist. There is no one-fits-all checklist. However, prior code review, as a team, both the developers and the reviewers, they should agree and be complied with that checklist. And some of the items in this checklist, make sure that unit test is provided and the actual or the submitted code is passing all these tests and doesn't break any existing ones. Make sure that we have declared all the dependency. Make sure that we are aligned with the syntax and the formatting of overall software. Make sure we don't introduce any vulnerabilities. There is something very important to say, is that there are a lot of tools today to help us to make some of these items automatic, meaning that I don't want to waste the reviewer time in looking at the syntax or the formatting. For example, in Python, we have the linters pylint to make sure that we are aligned with simple or defined syntax. Flake or black, for example. In Java, you have check style, you have spot bugs, and so on. Some of these tools, you can install them in your locally, plug in to your IDE. Some of them, you can directly add them to your CI pipeline, and so on. Other tools for vulnerabilities and code smell, you have SonarQube. You have also Sneak for detecting if there are some CVEs in your code, and so on. Again, there is no one fits all in this checklist. It depends on the team, the project, and the company. So we answered 2 questions, why we are doing code review and what to look at. Now, how can we conduct useful code review? Well, there are a few tips. As a reviewer, I should start looking at the big picture of the submitted code, trying to understand what the author's trying to achieve. And if there are ambiguity, you should ask a question. Ask what's your intention behind submitting this code? What are you planning to do and to achieve? It's very important to answer and give your feedback in short time. Keep it short, but that will depend on the side of the submitted PR. There are plenty of studies show what is the best size of the PR. At Google, for example, any PR should not exceed 200 lines of code, and the reviewer should give their feedback within 24 hours maximum. So that's what they call it, the light or modern code review. Last but not least, as a reviewer, don't feel obliged that you have to find issues and bugs. This is not about finding only issues and bugs. So it's fine to say it works, it looks good to me. LGTM, you see it a lot. In a lot of places. Of course, if the code looks good to you. Let's dig more deeply. As a reviewer, you should not criticize the person. Make it always about the code. You should be respectful, don't use harsh language. And there is an empirical study has been done at Microsoft in 2015. It shows that very negative comments were considered useful only 57% of the time. More neutral comments were considered useful around 80% of the time. So be respectful. And you should always assume competence. Be constructive and provide actionable feedback and provide your reasoning behind that comment. Let's see this example where a reviewer says, why are you using this approach? You are adding unnecessary complexity. While it should be written and recommended to be written that way, this concurrency model appears to be adding complexity to the system without any visible performance. The difference between the 2 ways of writing this review, even if they are sending the same message, the first one, the reviewer is criticizing the person. You add complexity to the system. You did that. However, in the second one, which is the recommended one, we are talking about the code. This concurrency model appears to be adding complexity. Another example, the reviewer saying, I don't understand this. And that's it, full stop. It should be written differently. If you have difficulty to understand the PR, you should ask a question and you say it. If this is an optimization, can you please add more comments or elaborate on this? I'm coming back to the first example where I'm showing you this piece of code that converts a list to string. So we saw that the reviewer used capital letter, and we don't understand what he's referring to. So this review should be written differently by saying, instead of using the S and the str1, you should use meaningful naming for variables. And you should be compliant with the naming convention for Python. For example, str1 should be renamed and should not be capital letters. Regarding the join function, instead of saying why you are using this join function, you can use, like using this join function, the code is not going to work because if you have input list where it contains integer and string, this is not going to work. So you need to convert each element to a string while adding the output string. So you are providing actionable and reasoning behind your comment. Well, I reached the end of this lightning talk. I hope no one fell asleep after lunch. So as takeaway, remember that the goal from code review is to share the knowledge, learn from each other, and overall increase the quality of our code. And to do that, we need to provide constructive, actionable feedback and be respectful, because respectful reviews will lead to useful reviews. Here's the list of references I have used to prepare this talk. And you can get the slide in slides.com/myname. I hope that you enjoyed the talk with me. It has been really great fun to be here. I hope you learned something, you apply it in your team, not only for computer science code review, it's also on life. Thank you so much, everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.